Oh hey guys, welcome back. Hey, today we're going to be discussing the brand new M2 iPad Air versus the old M1, and is it really worth upgrading if that's the one you're coming from? Let's find out. So when I first found out about the brand new M2 iPad Air, the only thing that I noticed that might be worth upgrading is the brand new Apple Pencil Pro. Even during the unveiling, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a difference or that big of a change for me personally to justify whether I should be upgrading. The other small change that they made besides the new Apple Pencil Pro is the vertical webcam is now horizontal. And some other the small changes is that there is no support for the old Apple Pencil. So if you had an M1 iPad Air, the magnetic one, it is not supported on the M2, as well as it does support the USB-C one. They also removed support for the Folio and upgraded the Wi-Fi from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 6E. And personally, I don't have super high Wi-Fi speed, so that's not something that I'm going to notice. Now, if you're looking for, or if you're someone that takes video calls all day, or someone that just have meetings or something of that nature, that you're tired of having the webcam and you're looking like this to talk to somebody, this is probably the biggest change you're looking for. But before you just go and grab this device, I would probably recommend the regular iPad because it does have the same horizontal webcam, but I'm not sure if you really need the power. So if it's something that you don't need, then the iPad's a good budget-friendly option, and you can still do the same things that you were doing. Because as we all know, the iPad's still limited. All right, so for the M1 iPad Air, I personally always thought that it was a great value for what you're getting, especially at the time when it first came out, like 2 years ago. So for such a small device and the things that it can do, especially for something that I use it for on a daily basis, which is just drawing, taking notes, and trying to just diagram how to attack and approach certain problems. Now for the M2, what has actually changed besides the things I've already mentioned? So the M1 and M2 both have 4 efficiency cores and 4 performance cores in their 8-core CPU. And on the GPU, the M1 only has a 7-core GPU versus the 10-core on the M2. So you're thinking, oh, this thing might be worth it for graphics performance. So with that being said, what did I do? Any logical YouTubers just going to throw some benchmarks and some real world examples, and that's what I did. So let's get into it. So for the Geekbench CPU graph, or CPU scores, I should say, the M1 gets a single core score of 2,391 and a multi-core score of 8,756. Now for the M2 gets a 2,621 single core and 9,987 on the multi-core. So the M2 seems to get about a 10% increase in single core performance and a 14% increase in multi-core score performance. Now for the GPU, the M1 got 33,214 and the M2 got a score of 41,729. So that's about a 25.6% increase just on a benchmark. Oh, and another test that I threw at it was the Jazz Disk benchmark for the SSD speeds, and surprisingly, the M2 actually has about 3 times the read and write speeds of the old M1. Now, do these numbers really mean anything in real world applications? Let's find out. So for video editing, I have a 35-minute 4K timeline that I wanted to export. I want to see if it can take advantage of that 10% increase in CPU and 25% increase in GPU, and not to mention the increased SSD speeds. So let's just run it. You're going to be surprised as well. So if you're watching this time lapse, you're going to notice that there was literally maybe 30 seconds of total difference in time. For that much horsepower, it's like, where's it being utilized at? So yeah, it wasn't even a 10% in terms of, even if it was using CPU, there wasn't even a 10% increase. It was like 21 minutes versus 21:30 or something of that nature. So I'm like, let's throw something that I know will take advantage of the GPU, and that's gaming, right? So something that I'd personally wanted to play, I haven't tried it out yet, was the Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. I'm gonna throw up the two video recordings And let me know if you can tell the difference, because personally, in game, I think maybe, and this is a hard maybe, that I can notice a difference in rendering from a long distance. Other than that, I don't think I could tell the difference. I had the same settings, uncapped FPS, and it was maxed out. And this is coming from someone that games at 4K and can usually notice the little details, especially if you're playing on max settings all the time and you go down to medium. It's just a big difference on the eyes, and it is something that, for me, especially if there's this much of a price difference, then where's the performance at? It's like, why? So one thing we haven't touched on in your part, like, what about the pencil? As someone that literally just draws basic diagrams and taking notes, personally, I just don't utilize it. I don't have the drawing capabilities of, having some nice art. But if you're someone that can take advantage of this and take your art game to the next level, or someone trying to get into, I guess, art in general, you're going to know if this is for you, especially if you're struggling on like an older iPad. But yeah, that's just personally, it's just not for me. So overall, I don't know about you, but just based on these simple tests, I don't have a reason for picking up the M2 or the M1, and that's just going to be something that I return. And especially if you can get the M1 at like $350 to $450 on eBay or Amazon, that sometimes that sells. It's a good pickup. The only thing I would suggest if you're going to use this for video editing is get 256 gigabyte. I had to delete basically everything off my iPad to even be able to put the footage on it and then export it. 64 gigabytes is just not enough in terms of how big 4K footage is. Unless you're just editing 1080p, then you're gonna know. But I'd suggest getting the 128, future-proof yourself for a couple years, and then revisit when the next iPad Air comes out. But yeah, hopefully you like this. Like if you enjoyed, sub if you want more, and let me know if there's any other thing you want some more details on in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.